Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is yet another episode of Film Seizure. I'm Jason Oliver.
I am Jeff Arbuckle.
And today we have a little bit of an oddity for you from the director of The Empire Strikes Back, RoboCop 2, the pilot of Sequest DSV.
Really?
And James Bond, Never Say Never Again. Let's remake Thunderball.
I didn't know he did all those.
Irvin Kershner, born as Isidore Kershner.
Yeah, he's probably glad he changed that.
We have 1967's pretty damn delightful Flim-Flam Man.
The Flim-Flam Man. And let's talk a little bit about how we got the Flim-Flam Man into the show.
So once again, we have guest Ken Shuttleworth with us. Guest Ken. Yes.
I like that title.
Yes, you're a guest Ken.
I also like all that history about the director.
Yeah, you like that? You like that?
I do miss Sequest DSV too. That was a great show.
Jonathan Brandis, may he rest in peace. Yeah. Roy Schreider, may he rest in peace. Right.
Right. Before we go on a tangent with that, though.
Yeah. Yes, we have Ken Shuttleworth back. He's going to. We talked last week about the villain, and we're going to talk this week again about another movie that Ken holds dear, that he introduced to both of us for the first time. I had never seen this movie. Jeff had never seen this movie, and we just watched it, and we had a pretty good time with it. So,
I'm glad.
Yeah,
it's a fun little movie, And here's the thing that because it's like, okay, prior to all of this, it's like I had to go in and. I have to get some clips and some whatnots to do our little promo stuff and everything. And so I was checking out a little bit. And the first thing that struck me about this was man, this is just a world that no longer exists.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's about literally walking through a section of the country, evading police, staying under the radar, basically not existing,
to live it totally off the grid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's I get to thinking about this every now and then because I watch a lot of older movies from the 60s and 70s in particular. And it's man, just the thought of it, this world that no longer exists of just if you didn't want to mess with the world or you wanted to try to see how far you could get away with something, you just did it, man. I mean, you just dropped out, and next thing you know, you show up in a little small town, and it's I'm gonna flim-flam you,
and become famous across the country for being the Flim-Flam Man.
Exactly, being Mr. Flim-Flam of the Flim-Flam Man. Yeah.
Well, the whole movie takes place in. It's basically Cape Fear County, which
they don't ever say.
Might be North Carolina.
It might be North Carolina.
It's filmed in Kentucky. Yeah. It's the South. But what's funny about it is they're evading law enforcement the whole time, and it's always the same county police. It's the Cape Fear County has got to be the largest county in the country. Well, because they just can't get the hell out of Cape Fear County. They were even on multiple trains and can't get out of this county.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of funny how that. But then again, it's you walk through Johnson County.
Yeah,
it probably will take days to walk through Johnson County.
And there's lots of people to grift in Johnson County.
Boy, there sure is. Yeah.
So
hopefully we run afoul of a Sioux lion here and there.
Well, that would be okay. Yeah.
So, Ken, all right. Now, again, this is the second time we've been through this, but tell us a little bit about because you wanted to talk about this movie and the villain, primarily because how I understood it, you grew up with them.
That's correct. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how was this introduced to you?
So as far as the Flim-Flam Man goes, it was really interesting because back in the day, I grew up in a very small town of 1,800 people. Literally my grandma and grandpa lived 2 blocks away. It was really easy. We spent a lot of time there. So grandpa had a pretty big movie collection VHS at the time.
Nice, yeah, of course.
But what he would also do is record stuff like on WGN and things late at night, like movies on the VCR. And one of these was the Flim-Flam Man. So when I originally first saw it, and it wasn't until you were able to find it on YouTube, I had to watch it with like commercial breaks and they cut out stuff. So
that's amazing. Yeah.
So when I got to see it for like in full for the first time, there were some scenes that it was a nice surprise. So yeah, basically I don't remember exactly the very first time that I saw it at his house. I just remember, I still remember clear as day the VHS tape with the label on it and the handwritten, the Flim-Flam Man. And I may be incorrect, but the villain may have been also on that same VHS tape. So
nice.
That is possibly how saw them both.
That would be like finding the Ark of the Covenant to find that tape.
Yeah.
It's like, are they both on the same? What commercials are there?
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry,
go ahead.
No. After he passed away, and we went through and like kind of divvied up all of his stuff, I never found that tape. I have no idea whatever happened to it.
Do you think that was a movie that your grandpa saw back in the day, and then saw it on TV and recorded it because he liked it, or do you think that he saw it for the first time not long before maybe you saw it?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I know that he did have some movies in his collection with George C. Scott, so it could have been based on like who was actually in the movie.
Okay, yeah, for sure. It might have been one he never heard of, but he knew George C. Scott was in it. So yeah, I'm going to record that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's a lot of what we talk about on this show is like that very same thing. It's like, it's like I grew up watching that, or we recorded it on TV or whatever. I think that it's so funny because it's like so many things are like so on demand these days. It's like you really forget like, well, and they're like people like my nephews and stuff have no idea what it means to stumble upon something on late night cable or just the movie of the week or whatever. Like a few weeks ago, we talked about like GoldenEye and how I had caught all of the Bond movies around the time that License to Kill came out in the late 80s. And they were just the movie of the week, and it's like, oh, it's another Bond movie. Oh, awesome. Or you're stumbling through, Blockbuster or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I never heard of this one. I want to watch it. Never say never again. It's not one of them.
I know. It's not a Bond movie, right?
Right. It's not an official one.
Or it's like
let's remake Thunderball. I'm gonna keep practicing that my Sean Connery impersonation.
It's gonna get you punched in the nose.
Let's remake Thunderball.
It's gonna get you punched in the face.
Well, this reminds me of is, I can imagine maybe your grandpa was like this, but you flip through the TV guide, right? And the TV guide for many a decade really was kind of like the TV Bible, right? Anything that was going to be on TV was in the TV guide. And I did this, and I also did this with the Sunday paper because Sunday paper also had all the week's movie listings, right? Mm-hmm. And you could read it like a glossary, and you could read all the movies that were going to play that week in alphabetical order, and a little like 2-sentence synopsis. Not that uncommon from what we see now, even with YouTube, right? Or an Amazon. You got your 2-sentence synopsis, and maybe a couple of the headlining actors and the times and channels it would play on, right? And I would read that every week. And if there was something that looked interesting, I'd circle it and I would set the VCR and I would try and I would record the movie, right? Stuff you'd never seen before, and I love that. I love that. Maybe your grandpa did that, And then I don't know. Did he know how to set the VCR, like set the timer on the VCR?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he knew what was up.
Because he had like his own kind of separate room that like when he was working at the print shop and we came over to visit Grandma, like my brother and I would pretty much just sit in there and raid the TV, and. On the VCRs, a lot of times you could see like lights where it had something that it was going to record at some point. That was pretty much always on.
That's awesome. That's super cool. Yeah.
That was also crazy, like setting a VCR at your own house and like your parents were like, no, we were going to record something at that time. And then it's like,
or worse yet.
Yeah.
Worse yet is when you're watching something and you're into it and then the VCR kicks on to record because it always changed the channel.
Yes.
To the channel that they had to record. It was like the worst. I was like, oh, damn it, I forgot I said a recording. I want to watch two things. Yeah. Oh, man, we've come a long way as a society, haven't we?
I feel like we're just turning this into a back in my day.
Yes. Remember at one point in time, though, also. Though at one point in time, though, the HDR, if you did the DVR, it's like sometimes you could only DVR one or two things at a time.
Yep, there was like a limit of 2 or 3, and it would switch to one of them. Yeah. That wasn't that long ago either.
Nope, really wasn't.
That's funny. You know what? When I was watching this movie, Ken, I knew immediately why you loved it, beyond probably your nostalgic tie to it.
Yeah.
It could because I know how much you love the movie The Sting.
Oh, Sting's great.
And I love The
That's
Sting.
probably my favorite movie of all time. Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and that's a movie we should bring to the podcast sometime. That's a phenomenal movie, but this kind of has a little bit of that hijinks grifter feel, right?
Yeah.
I think The Sting is a tighter movie. Sting kind of has more of a story to tell. Flim-Flam Man is just kind of like a almost fun vignettes of different sort of cons that happen throughout this short period of time. Yeah. And there's a bit of an emotional character arc for both characters, but yeah, it's not quite the tight story that The Sting is, but I totally get why you love it because it is a hell of a lot of fun. And I'm the same way. I love con movies. I love them. I love all the old mammoth con movies like House of Games, Spanish Prisoner. I like recent con movies like the one with it was just called Confidence, wasn't it? Did you ever see that one?
Confidence was great.
Yeah. The Grifters.
With, Confidence had Ed Burns in it, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
And Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman, yep.
Yep.
The Grifters is another classic one from the 80s, right? With what's his face?
John Cusack.
Yeah. But yeah, for sure, The Sting is like probably in the upper echelon of con man movies, right? So as I was watching Flim-Flam Man, I was like, yeah, I get it, man. Ken likes con man movies. This is his thing. You kind of jam on these.
I apparently didn't realize that, but
yeah, I think you do.
See, this is what we do on this show. We really get to under the skin.
Yeah.
Really
the psyche of what the things that you
and
like.
It really makes sense too, because I know of a lot of people that I watch movies with, or I show movies to, like that I had seen before, and I don't pay a lot of it. I just watch. I don't try to figure things out too far ahead, or at all sometimes. So movies like Prestige, things like that, where it has Shawshank, that has that kind of like twist ending to it.
Right.
Well, it's like opening up the gift,
Yeah, and there's nothing more annoying than watching with somebody that you show that to them for the first time, like they're going to love this, and then they're like, oh no, I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
So with the con movies and stuff, I think that's another reason I like it, is because I don't think too hard about it, and I usually get surprised.
And there's a lot of little surprises along the way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're kind of, it's kind of like watching a magic trick, watching a con in a movie, right? Mm-hmm. It is. Prestige is an excellent example of this type of movie, because you have essentially a trick. There's a setup. You have two characters who know the con, and they're playing it out before you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that movie even starts, "Are you watching closely?" Like,
it's
basically telling you right out of the gate.
Yeah, and Flim-Flam Man is this to perfection, because you have like George C. Scott, our titular character here, the Flim-Flam Man. What's his name? Mordecai
Jones.
Yep. He's a con man. He's been doing this for decades, and he's got his young protege,
Jason,
if you will,
Curly Treadaway.
Right. Yep. Yes. Who is on the run from the MPs because he's broken out of the army. He's broken out.
I want to talk about that a little bit later. How the reason why I think this is, because we wondered at the beginning. It's like, okay, well, when is this set? Is this contemporary to 1967, or is it like the 50s or? But we'll come back around to what I figured on that.
Yeah, close the loop on this thought. Is you have these two characters, one who's new at it, one who is old hat at it, And the old hat, Flim-Flam Man is teaching this guy the cons, and he's teaching you the cons too, as the audience member. You are kind of Jason Treadway. Sorry. As the
call him Curly. That's what he wants
Curly.
to be called.
That's what he wants to be called. You're absolutely right. So it's like a great con movie is you should know that the characters who are in on it, but maybe there's someone who isn't sometimes. But basically they're conning you while they're conning the person in the movie, and you're trying to figure out how they're being conned.
And how are they going to pull?
You have just one more piece of information than the person being conned, and it's an important piece of information. The piece of information is they are being conned, right? But you're trying to figure out how and what the con is, and they do that very well in this movie.
Yeah, because for the most part, the cons they do aren't really just like basic. Some of them are like pretty complex, and you have to like actually think about what they're trying to set up to make happen at the end.
And some of it is not technology, but a little bit dated too, like the punch card punch board. I never heard of that before, but it's got like little pieces of paper behind every number,
right?
And you push it through, and it tells you if you won or not.
Right.
Yeah.
It's essentially, it was kind of like a, it's essentially what turned into scratch offs and the pull tab type stuff, but. My guess is that very quickly that was deemed gambling.
Oh yeah,
and then just you can't do that unless the state gets their cut.
Yeah. The other type of con movie is the type of con movie that you're watching and you don't know that it's a con, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
the Usual Suspects,
right? Yeah.
The perfect example.
There's a movie that I was watching that I was thinking of while we were watching the Flim-Flam Man. One that I thought we might watch again later to bring you back on, because you shared two with us. I'd like to share one with you that I think is thematically similar to the Flim-Flam Man, and it's A Big Hand for the Little Lady. And this is a great one. It's a poker movie, and it's Burgess Meredith and Henry Fonda. And the whole movie revolves around one. Oh, Jason Robards is in this. Whole movie revolves around one poker hand, right? And apparently it's a good one, right? And it's the little lady who gets the big hand, right? And the whole thing is there all this drama happens, like before they can finish this hand, right? And all the players involved. And who's working with who.
This sounds amazing.
It's great.
I wish I would have seen
it's
this
phenomenal.
already.
It's like a fluff mammoth film. Like if the House of Games would be Big Hand for the Little Lady, if Mammoth had like a sense of humor. Like, it's great. But anyway, I'm digressing. I guess where I'm getting at is I really like this movie. It's a lot of fun, and it's right in my wheelhouse of con movies.
I'm really glad that you guys have it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I had like I'd mentioned, I watched the little clips to try to either pull like stuff to play at the beginning or end of an episode, or something to have like in a promo or something. I watched little bits, and this was on YouTube, so I was pulling most of it directly from the movie and whatnot. And it was just one of those ones you could tell it's like, this is going to be a sweet little movie. It's going to be just the kind of scale and the kind of very few characters, but it's that kind of character type of study. Where it's like or not necessarily a study, but it's about the characters learning a thing or two, or growing up. Like for Curly, it's about growing up, kind of, and
taking some responsibility,
for the things he's done,
right?
And
understanding, I think too, that not everything in your life is going to be something that you want to do.
Right. And because like it's, some of the discussion about like what he did to get in trouble with the MPs.
Right. The
MPs was he punched that Yankee
sergeant or whatever.
Right
yeah.
Whatever, right?
He broke his jaw.
Yeah.
Broke his jaw.
Yeah.
And so it's like, clearly it was because he was being told to do something he didn't want to do, but now
he didn't like his accent being made fun of.
Yeah. And it was just what children do, it's just how they handle stuff. So, and it's like, you could tell that this was that type of movie, and that you're going to have a mentor the jaded guy versus the guy who is still wide-eyed and still wants to tackle the world and make it his, and the other guy who became jaded and got the world technically by ripping everybody off in it. But it's like you could just tell that it was like, this is gonna be a pleaser.
I mentioned it a couple of times. It felt to me like a Coen Brothers movie in the 60s. Like if they were to make a movie in the 60s, this kind of felt like what it would be.
Sure.
And I kind of make this very tenuous connection, but the movie The Flim-Flam Man is based on a book called The Ballad of the Flim-Flam Man that came out 2 years prior. That's all the research I know. I didn't dig into anything more than that. But typically ballads are sort of told as vignettes, right? They're small stories about a thing. They're sung usually, but ballads in sort of modern parlance typically is more of a sort of vignette sort of storytelling, short stories telling, right? About and sort of lauding a singular person. Right. Well, the Coen Brothers made a movie this year called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Mm-hmm.
And the first story in that is really the only Buster Scruggs story in it. The others are just sort of thematic setting type stories in the same world. But I kind of got a weird vibed connection between the two. Like you've got this sort of old-timey character who thinks a lot of himself, who maybe thinks too much of himself and learns a lesson or two, right? And it's a very simple storytelling trope. But that's kind of the arc of George C. Scott in this. It felt like that sort of old-timer learns to love again.
That's
right?
exactly because he has that whole speech about how you can't love.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, then also along the way, this really kind of Coen-esque humor that I guess my point is I'd be very surprised if the Coen Brothers were not aware of this movie in some way, shape, or form. And I like to see movies. It's always fun to discover movies that I think could possibly have inspired contemporary filmmakers that I love, right?
Sure.
Because I don't know for certain. I'm just putting kind of stuff out there into the world that I can't verify, but I'd like to think that the Coen Brothers are a fan of this movie. And to me, it's got a lot of Ballad of Buster Scruggs and a ton of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah, a little bit of Lady Killers also.
Yeah.
So I guess let's talk a little bit about what happens in this movie, because you hit the point right on the head. There really isn't a plot.
Right.
This is about characters.
Yeah.
It's more vignette storytelling. It really is. It's con to con,
Right, because right out of the gate, so the first person you meet is Curly, and Curly is gonna hop a train. And before he hops the train, he sees an old man get thrown from the train, and
suitcase and papers,
which would be a joke you'd see in a Coen Brothers movie.
Right, yeah.
It's George Clooney is who that person.
Yeah,
would be.
Totally.
But it's George C. Scott, and George C. Scott at first is kind of like standoffish. He's like, "Sir, I'm trying to help you." It's like, you just got thrown out of a train. So he finds out. It's like, okay, well, this guy's name is Mordecai C. Jones, and it doesn't really connect with who he is until a little bit later.
He gives him a business card.
He's got business cards all over the place.
But the one he gives him is traveling salesman.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so Curly takes him to his boxcar. I presume the boxcar children also live there.
And the Hardy Boys.
And the Hardy Boys, yeah.
And the young Hitchcock investigators.
Yes.
They've all got timeshares on it now. So.
Yes. they gotta book their studio time.
Yeah. So he tells us like, okay, well, what's the name of the game?
Three-card money.
Three-card money.
Yep.
Or as he says in St. Louis, they call it tossing the broad.
Right. And so
that's phenomenal. I didn't catch that.
Oh, you missed that?
Yeah. I remember that now. Yeah.
Oh, because it's the queen you're looking
it's the
for,
queen
right?
you're looking for. It's 2 aces and a queen. So, yeah. So he talks about how it's like, well, we need some money. It's like, how much money you got? Well, I got 60 cents. Great, we've got $2.10.
Yeah.
So they go to this general store where they're gonna show off the 3-card money.
Toss the broad.
Toss the broad. And they end up making like $42. So in like 1967 money, that's like, I don't know, $5,000.
And it's a classic grift too, because George C. Scott starts out and he's trying to get some takers and nobody's taking him up on it. And of course, Curly comes in then and to buy some ginger snaps.
Yep.
And just like a innocent bystander, and he says, "Well, I'll put a quarter down on that," and he starts to win. Flim-Flam Man, Mordecai lets him win a couple to get the other people to trust him.
Yeah, right.
And it just snowballs from there. Yeah.
Right. And what happens is he goes down big so that he can just take it all right.
Yeah,
back,
exactly.
basically.
And they don't really notice, how much it's classic, Las Vegas gambling, really. I mean, that's what the house depends on is, they want you to get up maybe a little bit because then when you lose it, you want to get it back.
Right.
Yeah.
And you become desperate.
Right. Yep.
So after that succeeds, that's when it clicks with Curly. It's like, you're Mordecai C. Jones, the infamous Flim-Flam Man. And
who nobody else ever mentions.
Nobody else.
As infamous at all.
Yeah. I mean, well.
That's a good point.
The cops treat him that way.
Yeah, they call him the Flim-Flam Man later.
Right.
Yeah,
yeah.
When I think they figure out who he is.
Right.
Yeah.
So so at that point, it's like, well, I don't really want to join you because George C. Scott's like, hey, why don't you join me? We can twosome this deal and we'll make all sorts of money.
That's something I always learn from con movies is that it's easier to con people when you have a partner.
Yep.
But it also complicates the shit out of things because somebody's going to get double crossed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Almost always. But not in this movie.
Not really in this movie, no.
This movie, they both take the concept of a partnership very seriously. So while the Flim-Flam Man is very cynical about human nature.
Right, because he basically calls everybody avarice in one way, shape, or everybody lands in the or everybody registers someplace in the scale.
He views like he's either giving them what they've got coming to them or teaching them a lesson.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and he even says that it's like, because he calls himself the master of backstabbing,
corkscrewing, and dirty dealing.
That's right.
You've seen this movie a lot.
MCS,
I love
CSDD.
That's beautiful.
Or MCS BSDD, something like that.
Yeah.
Dirty dealing.
So he basically says that he took on that to teach people, to give them what he called a liberal learning,
liberal education,
liberal education,
which of course is horseshit. I mean, it's him justifying what he does,
right? Yeah. But he does make the thesis statement of his justification is once they learn, they either walk away knowing better, or they're just deserving to be run over.
Or there's a third thing: they try to kill him with a shotgun.
Which happens immediately.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like, oh god, that scene kills me. They're sitting there after they win the 3-card money, and they're just sitting there,
exactly
and all of a
where you're going.
They hear noises, and like George C. Scott perks up and is like, there's 6 of them surrounding us. Without looking out a window, he knows exactly how many people are on.
He's counted all the footsteps. Yeah.
And so they go off running, and there's a cop, the county sheriff, who is Harry Morgan.
Yep.
Fantastic in this also.
He
MASH
is.
fame.
Oh yes. Yes, that was definitely where I was picking up on him was MASH, and I had to look it up. I was like, "Yep, okay." But he was also a Dragnet.
He was Friday's partner.
He's in a ton of old westerns. Yeah, he's great because you pointed it out once at one point. He actually, before he talked on the phone or the radio, he put his cigar back in his mouth,
to call in reinforcements.
He is the literal cigar chomping, scene chomping character in this.
He's Boss Hogg, really.
Yeah, he is.
So
I don't really think there was a scene in that movie where he did not have.
Where he didn't have a cigar. You're right. Yeah.
And so he's.
It probably made a point of that. Yeah.
Right. So then he's like, okay, well, so they go and like he comes and he's coming along and he's looking for a moonshiner. What's the name?
Doodle.
Doodle Powell.
Doodle Powell.
Powell.
That's great.
And,
Doodle. Oh my God.
Which
Doodle the moonshiner. It's amazing.
Incidentally, also
he only gets that one scene, man.
Yeah, but incidentally, Mordecai and Curly cross Doodle's path.
Oh, it's so good too.
Which allow them to get a getaway car.
But I love it because Mordecai recognizes him. Because he's like,
hey, Doodle.
Because he had heard, how did he hear it earlier that they were looking for a moonshiner named Doodle?
Because, oh wait, no, that was later.
So then when they ran traipsed through his still, and they ran into him,
they knew about it because when they ducked off of the road, and that's when you first see the police.
Yeah, and they were hiding, and they're like, it might have been Doodle. Yeah,
was it Doodle?
Yeah. So George C. Scott, sharp as a nail in this, is like, this is Doodle, and he uses that, and he starts talking to him using his name, and then of course the real cops show up behind them because Doodle's got a pistol in Mordecai's face, and he's like, well, there's the cops, everyone for themselves, basically, and it's pandemonium.
Yeah, Doodle starts running, and George C. Scott just has like the best laugh because he's just like, they're right behind us. Totally not worried about it himself.
George C. Scott really isn't worried about anything in this movie.
No, he's not.
He's wonderful. His character's kind of like chips where they lay. Whatever happens. He is the most cynical person about human nature, but yet he's so lackadaisical about his own outcomes. He's like, it'll all work out, no matter what it is.
No matter what happens.
It'll all work out, which is just an amazing outlook in life, to have no faith in your fellow man, but to truly believe that everything's going to be okay. How does that happen?
Right.
And somehow for him it does.
That's okay. So
that's true.
All right. So the main, so where this movie really kind of takes a turn from it being about a grifter to being about something more. Curly, so Mordecai and Curly run one scheme where they want to basically steal a car. Although Mordecai always says, I'm just borrowing it until we find another car to borrow.
Right. But even before that, he's like, oh, don't worry. Because he knows he's going to straight up steal this car.
Right.
And he knows that Curly's not going to like it because they're doing it to good people.
Right. Because Curly says from the beginning, my upbringing does not allow me to do this sort of stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like he keeps moving that goalpost where it needs to be.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's right at the beginning when he's in the boxcar and Mordecai brings up the idea of him being the shill for the 3-car money game. His first reaction is like, my paw would have blistered my butt.
That's
and he's like, I don't take to cheating, Mr. Jones.
And
So, but that goalpost kept shifting all over the place during the movie.
And so they go to a house where, the wife, the lady of the house is home. Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka is not home. That's the dad. And that does not look
Holy shit, I didn't recognize him.
Like Jack Albertson.
He was in something else recently.
The Buried Alive. Or Dead and Buried.
Dead and Buried.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, he
not recently, but you wrote about it recently.
Yes.
On B-Movie Anime. We should make that clear. Yeah. Dead and Buried is not a new movie. It was made in the 80s.
Which, considering he's dead and buried, that is more recent.
That was his last movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You guys drop all kinds of knowledge on
We
this
do.
shit.
We try. We try. Our brains are like, I don't know, really rusty hamster wheels.
Yeah, especially after a few beers.
Yeah.
So he's gonna, like he is dressed. So Mordecai is dressed as a priest, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And he even has a card for being a priest.
Yeah.
Because he's got a stack of cards of different professions. That's amazing.
I love that.
Before they even
that's a hell of an
open this
investment.
fence and start walking up there, he's like shifting through his cards. Like, where's the one I need for this con?
And he keeps telling Curly, it's like, remember, you're limping. You got to limp because we got in an accident. And he's like all bandaged up.
It's ridiculous.
With the arm sling.
Yeah.
The arm sling made out of electrical tape. That is brilliant. But anyway, he, of course, Curly does not limp once.
No.
Not on purpose, at least.
He actually runs up the steps to the porch.
Yeah.
And George sees guys would turn around and like motion to his knee like
Yeah. So
that's great. That's just great.
So he, they talk to the lady. It was what's the last name of the family? It was
Packers.
Packers, yeah. This guy.
I know he's still trapped for this movie. I love it.
You've seen it as many times as I have.
So Mrs. Packard comes to the door and says, it's like, oh, Father, of course we'll help you. I'll have my daughter drive you. And he's like, no, I don't think we really wouldn't have. We just would like to borrow your car. We wouldn't dare ask your daughter to have. And of course, the daughter comes downstairs basically in her knickers. And it's Sue Lyon from Lolita.
Yep.
Now less of a Lolita, but still.
Yeah, she would have been about 22 in this movie.
That's
I do
not
the math.
Weird that
I do the math.
Gosh. I did the math, but I
Well
wasn't
done.
going to be the one who comes out like a weirdo.
Well, I was curious because she's definitely much matured.
Yes.
In this movie, Lolita, as it should be, she's very
well, she's 16.
she's very, but she even plays it younger than that.
Yeah, I think she's supposed to be like 14.
Yeah, in the novel she's younger. But yeah, I was curious because I was like, how many years after Lolita was this? So
how many years am I in the green?
Right. And she's adorable in this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She is radiant.
Gorgeous.
Right, and immediately like Curly's like, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Totally.
Oh yeah, he falls off the porch.
He literally falls for her.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Which that was just
That's when he begins limping.
Yeah. He's like, now he's really injured. Oh, it's great. It's
like
great.
something as simple as that of him falling off the porch. I equate with as much hilarity, and I still don't know why I find it so funny, in Big Lebowski when the dude crashes into that dumpster. Like every time I watch that, I just find it to be hilarious, and I don't know why.
I like when people are absent-minded and they get injured because of it. Like that is just a funny thing. It just is.
No,
You're not paying attention because of something distracting you, and you injure yourself because of it.
I actually have a real life story. I was in 6th grade, and there was a girl that I liked in 6th grade also. We were in the same gym class, and it was like track and field week or whatever. So everybody run your laps. The thought of that today is painful.
Agreed.
So so the girl is like with one of her girlfriends or whatever, and I'm running by, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what it is I'm doing, but I'm like looking at them, like trying to talk to. I don't know. I can't talk to these people.
I can't talk to girls.
I can't do that.
What am I thinking?
What am I doing here? So, but I'm like completely and totally head turned until I run right into a hurdle and fall face first into the cinder track.
That would be like in an 80s teen comedy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
I lived it, man.
And no one would believe that would be real, except it's happened to you and probably dozens of other absent-minded teens.
Yeah, plenty of other hapless dudes.
Hapless dudes, yeah. In fact, that might have actually happened in an 80s teen comedy.
I know, and it's like, and the thing is, of course, they laugh running away, and I'm like, I meant to do that.
Please tell me you said that.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I think I probably, I was probably not in a very good place for the rest of that day.
How high was the hurdle? Did it get you in the junk?
No, right in the waist.
Okay, so it was a little bit higher. Yeah. All right. So it wasn't baby hurdles or anything.
No, that would have been. Oh my God! Yeah, I mean, of course that would be what. But yeah, hit me right.
Is there an ideal hurdle height for this story?
Well, no,
I want him to get hit in the balls. That's what I want that story to be. So next time you tell it, they were the middle school hurdles, so that you got racked in the balls.
You were trying to figure out how he could have not got hurt. But I should have known.
No, I wanted his.
I should have known better with you, Jason.
I wanted him getting hurt to be even funnier. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and trust me, I have caused so much testicular trauma to myself. It's unbelievable. Not that time. So anyway, so Curly, Curly gets loaded into the car after he falls down. Of course, they think he's even more hurt now.
Right.
They load everybody in the car, and as they're starting to drive off, Dorsey Scott's like, "Oh, whoa! It would be so unchristian of me to not thank your mother for this, for this help. Take this copy of the Sermon on the Mount, which he poorly recites."
Yes. He's even aware. He's like, "Oh, I'm fucking this up,"
I could probably actually do that scene. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall inherit the earth. Trust me, I could probably do a one-man stage play on this movie.
Oh my God, I would pay to see it.
Oh my God, it's like, okay, so you can do a one-man play of Flim-Flam Man. I could do one-man Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan. What do you got?
Maybe Pulp Fiction.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
I know a lot of that movie. That or Reservoir Dogs. Yeah.
That's a lot of dialogue. That's a lot of difficult Tarantino dialogue.
Yeah, I would need it to play, probably with me.
I would probably need the music cues and stuff. But
this brings up, though, this is a bit of a tangent, but I knew someone legitimately when I worked.
I know what you're talking about.
When I worked at the Blockbuster Video, in I don't know 2004-ish. I worked with this guy named John, and John could recite the movie Goonies from beginning to end.
Wow.
And not just with the movie playing, not just half quoting, not singing along kind of to the song, where you kind of know every other word, right? He knew every freaking word. Not only did he know every word, he knew every musical cue.
That's amazing.
So he, and here's the thing, he just needed you to get him started. He needed the line. It's like when you're an actor and you're like, not line, and they give you the first part of the line, and you're like, yep, I got it from there.
Yeah, and you're just
he was just like that. And you could do that at any point in the movie.
Oh, my God.
So he didn't have to start from the beginning. You could give him a line in the middle of the movie, and he could go from there. It was fucking awesome. Every once in a while, I'd be like, John? He's like, oh, you want me to fucking recite Goonies, don't you? I was like, yes, John, I do. And I'd give him a line, and he'd go from there. It was the best. But my absolute favorite was the beginning of the movie. The beginning of the movie is very, very. I love how that whole scene is cut together with the music and the action and the little bits of dialogue, right? Like dun 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 dun, right? Now all those little moments, right? He did it all. All the musical cues, all of the beats. I could listen to him recite the first 7 minutes of Goonies for the rest of my life. That would be like heaven. It was so impressive. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
On a related note, since we watched the Flim-Flam Man, we have not gotten Jason to stop singing the opening notes.
I've lost it.
Fantastic.
It's gone.
Thank you.
Okay, keep it away.
Keep it away because it is an earworm.
I probably have Goonies now, though. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. I mean,
that's fair warning at least.
Yeah.
So with now, like, okay, so Curly is now in love with Bonnie
Packard.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's Bonnie Lee. Bonnie Lee. That's it. Bonnie Lee. So she, so it's like he keeps like going back to her and like talking, like whispering the sweet nothings about like we're gonna get married and we're gonna have tobacco plants and peacocks.
Yep.
At his old family home. But she's like, if you don't go and tell the police what you've done and try to figure out a way to get yourself out of trouble. This is all just crazy. Peacocks?
Right. Peacocks? Yeah. I love it. She points it out. She's like, this is all crazy. And now you're talking about peacocks?
Yeah.
It's like practice? Talk about practice. Talk about peacocks?
Yeah. But so that ultimately leads to, it's like, in a way, it's like Curly is still wanting to have the money because they steal the car that she was going to drive because Mordecai sends her in with the Sermon on the Mount, and as soon as she's inside, they're gone.
They're gone.
And
hilarity ensues.
That's the best. Like that is this movie's madcap scene.
Yeah, there's a big chase scene.
Yeah, a big chase scene. Half the town gets destroyed.
Yep.
An entire truck of watermelons.
He even said, "What was the name of the town?" He's like, "Well, they won't."
They'll remember us in Clayton, lad.
Yes. Oh yes.
So like he keeps promising her, "I'm going to pay you back for all the damage," because they destroyed both of that family's cars.
Yes.
Yeah. So
while in town, they ran into the dad's car.
Right.
Oh, that's just great.
Well, and then the cops ran into his car after that.
Right. Yeah. So like, yeah, but like Curly's like, I'm going to pay you back for all of it. I just can't do it right now. He keeps saying it like that, basically. And, but like all the while she likes him, it's like, she sees in him that he's not a bad guy, much like he sees in Mordecai that he's not a bad guy. He's just situational.
She's also kind of got a little bit of the bad boy thing too, right?
Well, yeah, because apparently she has several people calling her because she's like, which one's this?
Yeah, like Roscoe. Yeah,
is that you, Roscoe?
Yeah, that you, Roscoe?
Yeah,
Roscoe would be a bad boy name.
Yeah.
Probably. Or a cop.
Or a taco shop owner.
Yes. Damn it. Now I want some Roscoe's tacos.
So anyway, he, so like that like kind of turns this towards, is Curly sticking around to make the money to be able to pay them back, but also he's getting deeper and deeper into the muck with Mordecai.
Yep. And he's falling deeper and deeper in love.
How was that?
He's in too deep.
He's into
But
that's what Phil Collins would say.
This is one of the things about this movie that cracks me up, though, is this whole time they just keep defrauding the county of Cape Fear, right? Because their camp is not far from the Packard farm that he keeps going back to see.
Bonnie Lee.
I mean, I think the entire Cape Fear County is probably like an 8-block radius.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, they should have
county,
found Doodle like a long time ago. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that there even exists any towns in that county outside of Clayton.
Yeah.
No,
it's mostly tobacco.
Yeah,
tobacco, corn, and kids.
And now peacocks.
Peacocks, yeah. There's like a peacock infestation that happens. That would be then the sequel. Like the whole town, there's peacocks everywhere.
I like his justification too. They're a mean bird, but fascinating.
That's a Coen Brother line, man.
Yeah.
Like if there ever was one, holy shit.
Yeah, it's. So all this ultimately leads to the big climax, which is they kind of fuck up. You know, they're asleep at their camp, and the police show up.
Yep.
But the police know about what's where they're at because Curly keeps going to see Bonnie Lee. The dad started getting kind of suspicious that she keeps going out, not really, I'm assuming not telling her dad where she's going. So the cops follow her, which led them to Curly. Then they followed Curly to get to
the camp.
Mordecai.
Yep.
And so they arrest them. And
after a brief struggle.
Yeah.
When Curly tries to
take on
the
6 armed policemen,
so Mordecai can get away.
It's like, well, no reason to go quietly or whatever, something like that. And then that's a great line later. After they subdue Curly, Mordecai says something along the lines of, oh shoot, well, yeah, it's a good thing he went quietly. Yeah. Funny.
So they get, so now like, Harry Morgan's now like, he's done with Doodle at this point. He's now fixated.
Oh, he's got
Mordecai.
he's got a new big fish.
He's got a new big fish.
Yeah. His Moby Dick has changed.
Right. And so he, so like they're arresting. And so, Curly's like, I'm going to tell you more about like these crazy things that Mordecai is doing. And he's like telling all these grand stories of like kidnapping and I'm assuming rape. I'm assuming killing.
He alludes to like some really dark stuff. Actually.
Yeah, it's like I feel sick telling you.
It gets kind of uncomfortable to a point. I'm kind of like, dang, like whoa.
Talking about like some Colombian family in a hotel,
and a
in
9-year-old
Charlotte,
girl.
Yeah,
It's like Jesus
like,
Christ,
God.
where's this movie going?
But every time he's about like because like Harry Morgan's like all into it. It's like keep going.
Oh yeah, he's gnawing on his cigar, like he's all excited.
And he even like, wait, where was I? It's like the drive-in theater and 9-year-old girl.
Yeah.
But it's all a con to essentially for Curly to slip him.
Yeah.
And he then is going to, because he feels it's his fault, which it kind of is, that Mordecai got arrested because they followed him. He's going to help get Mordecai out. So he wires up a bunch of dynamite to the station, to the courthouse. And basically demands that Mordecai be released. And he's like, okay, call this telephone booth.
He tells Mordecai to call the telephone booth.
Let it ring 3 times when you're safe.
When you're free. Yeah.
Because Mordecai's like, I'm not going to get out of here, but in 1 minute, all the roads are going to be shut down. Which the cops also say, too. It's like, we got the stadies are going to come and close down everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, it works. It works.
Well, it kind of works. Mordecai is smart.
He doesn't go.
Block. Because he knows he's not actually going to get out.
Right.
And he knows the ruse will be up then with the dynamite. So he calls the payphone from within the town, which is genius because then the cops think he got away. Right. So all the roadblocks will go down. Yeah. And then he can actually escape.
Even the Cape Fear County cops were going out to the roadblocks to just ask the state police what happened.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And it's like they slipped. He slipped.
He slipped us.
But Curly now just compounding things like he's beating up cops. He's stolen the cop car. He's threatened the police with dynamite. Which even though it wasn't dynamite, it's still a reasonable threat. He's gonna go to jail, and Mordecai just takes the next train out.
Yep. You're right, which is interesting because I've kind of felt that too. It's like you get the sense that Mordecai.
Well, he played a longer con on Curly, maybe.
Right. That's the cynical view of this movie, right? Is that Mordecai just got exactly what he thought he'd get. He does this to every young kid who he sees on the rails.
Yes. Yeah, so next town he ends
disposable,
up in, he's going to find somebody else.
Right. That's definitely one view of it, and the other view of it is that he saw the better nature of man, right?
Yeah.
So
I think it depends on how you think of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, but you could read the movie two ways.
Yeah, either you're a Curly or you're a Mordecai at the end of this movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my personal opinion, and maybe I'm just not looking at it correctly, but I would lean towards the side that Mordecai probably would be the former, where he conned Curly.
It was a long con. I mean, considering his career and his age, I agree. I agree. I think you're probably right.
I would lean more towards like he's not going to change now.
Right.
Quite frankly, I cannot argue with your reasoning considering how well you know this movie.
I feel like you do probably know this movie better than most people in the world. So, and Irvin Kershner's dead, so we can't ask him.
No.
Yep.
It's just me.
Everybody in this movie is dead except for Sue Lyons.
Me and the
literally.
Yeah.
Me and the 150 people that bought it when it came out on DVD.
Right. Right. So yeah, that's a weird thing.
Talk about that. There's
this little DVD company. The name's gonna escape me, but they're not giving us any money, so fuck them. They put out
now they're not going.
They put out a lot of little like short run distributions like this, where they buy like a really small distribution right contract from the studio owner. Or maybe this is public domain stuff too. I don't know if this is in the public domain or not. But they did a restoration, I think, like a small, like a modest restoration and release on DVD of this, and it sold out almost immediately. 150 copies. That's it. I'm sure it'll get a reissue maybe at some point, but
who knows? I
kind of like that you've got these little independents out there who are like, yeah, I know that we can make a little bit of money selling this to 150 people.
Cost us nothing to get, probably.
I mean, there was a licensing fee, I'm sure, but nothing big. Usually you have to like get at least 500, I think, on like a Blu-ray or DVD run. But they must have, maybe they have a way of doing it themselves, like a professional authoring, software.
Yeah, maybe.
And they just knocked them out, 150 of them, and
closed up the shop.
Yeah.
And so this is it. This is all
they
you
do
get.
it. They do it with a bunch of them. They post them. They have like a post of all the movies they've ever released and all the ones that are out of print or sold out, and there's shit tons of them. I mean, they do this with a lot of these little kind of micro films that are just lost to time.
Yeah, and that that's the other thing that kind of made me sad about this movie. I mean, sad asterisk, which I don't know what a sad asterisk would look like. Now I want to know.
It'd have a little tear?
Yeah, maybe a little tear coming out of the asterisk. Maybe it has a smaller asterisk coming out of the asterisk.
I like that. That's exactly what it would look like.
Yeah. So, but no, it's like these types of movies that are like in time. Like my parents only vaguely recognize the title. They recognize the people in the movie.
Sure.
But they only vaguely recognize the title. And both of my parents would have been movie-going people in the late 60s.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where it's like, these are types of things that are going to disappear someday and someday soon.
Yeah.
Because I mean, unless all of a sudden a bunch of people are interested in a little tiny movie about, dirty dealing across one county.
Yeah. Or like a big old George C. Scott fan,
But even those are going to dwindle eventually.
Irvin Kershner fans.
Which is a shame.
Yeah. Well, it is, yeah.
Oh, let's talk about George C. Scott.
Okay.
Yes, let's.
I've got one last note aside from this.
So, George C. Scott, a couple weird things about him in this movie. He plays older.
Yeah, he does.
In this movie. He doesn't do that. It didn't do that often in his career where he play older, at least not that I'm aware of. Usually he's like older playing younger, right?
Right.
Maybe Patton played a little older.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if
I'm not sure how age appropriate that role was or not.
I have no idea.
But he definitely plays older in this to the point where they dye his hair white.
Or it's powdered.
It's powdered, yeah. Also, George C. Scott, I made a comment while we were watching this. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of lighthearted George C. Scott roles. And he's usually playing a heavy character in a heavy movie, like Patton, like Anatomy of a Murder. In this...
Christmas Carol.
Oh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exorcist 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Side note, I think George
the
C. Scott's
Changeling.
Christmas Carol is my favorite. Sorry, Patrick Stewart, but I
agree. I
I
think he's phenomenal in it. Yeah. But this and Strangelove, Dr. Strangelove, are really the only movies that I'm aware of where he is really kind of letting loose and sort of hamming it up a little bit.
Yeah.
He's having a fun time. Like, and he's really
call him playful, and that's a good way of
He's very playful in this role. He's funny in this role. Like it's a side of his acting ability that I'm not really truly seen, even in Strangelove. Because in Strangelove, he plays a very straight-laced, over-the-top character that isn't necessarily funny, but it is still playing for laughs.
Yeah.
Right. But in this, he's playing.
He's
playing for laughs. He in Flim-Flam Man, he's jokey, and it's really fucking fun. I kind of saw him in a whole new light, honestly.
I've heard that he said in interviews, like after doing that movie, he said it was like hands down like his number one movie making experience ever. He had a blast playing that character, and
that's awesome. And you can see it. I mean, you can see it in how much fun he's having. It's absolutely. And then again, with that, I kind of want to just, as an aside, sort of mention the Kubrickian alumni in this.
Yeah, almost everybody in this movie has been in
I don't know about almost everyone, but yes, you've got Sue Lyon, who we mentioned already, was in Lolita, and then Slim Pickens got a great scene in this.
Yes.
And he and George C. Scott, of course, are both in Dr. Strangelove. And to see them again, in the same movie and playing off of each other that was my favorite con of the movie,
because they never played off of each other in Strangelove.
Right.
They were in separate places.
They were totally separate places.
It was maybe like
that was my favorite
minute
con.
and a half of those two in the same scene, but it was great.
So good. Yeah. That was my favorite section of this movie.
Yeah, and basically, real quick, that con was wallet found. Curly and Slim Pickens are fighting over it, and George C. Scott says, I saw this, so let's go around the corner, let's figure this out. He counts up like there's $1,600 plus $1,000 check. Since I'm the only stranger in town, because they played up that Curly went and sold tobacco.
Some tobacco, yeah.
And so since I'm the only stranger in town, I'll go cash the check. And then he's like, okay, but if I'm going to put myself out on the limb here, because this is dangerous business to try to cash a check that's not mine, I'm going to need $500 from each of you.
Right.
So they both get, and then he says, okay, so that's $3,600. We're going to all come out with $1,200.
Yeah.
Which is shortchanging. So, but the con is on because he never planned. So like a half an hour passes. He hasn't come back. And Slim Pickens is like, why don't you go look for him? I'll stay here with the wallet.
Well, right. Not to interrupt, but there was also a pivotal moment in that too, where before George C. Scott goes to the bank, Curly turns around and goes, "What's over there?" And so Slim Pickens is completely distracted, and George C. Scott slips play money into the wallet and puts his $500 into his jacket,
which is great because that play money also was shown earlier in the movie, so you know that he had it. So it's already planted in the audience's mind that that's like a thing.
Well, even when he's
that
counting
might get used
and says it's $1,600 in cash, you can see on the back it's fake money on the back.
Oh yeah.
Not blatant as like the green paper fake money we had like when we were kids that you could buy.
Right. Yep.
So then, like Slim Pickens is like, I'll stay here just in case he comes the other way. Why don't you go and find him? So Curly walks like 15 feet around the corner, stops, turns back around, looks around the corner, and Slim Pickens is booking.
He's gone. It's a great shot, and he's running as fast as he can away. And it's, oh my God, it's funny. It's so funny. It again, it's like this Coen-esque moment. but also it's sort of a sad moment because it's a confirmation for Curly of the bad intentions of humanity, right?
Yeah.
If Slim Pickens had stayed, I think Curly would have preferred that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Slim Pickens did not. He ran as fucking fast as he could.
Slim Pickens has never run faster.
Never.
But anyway, you were saying about
he's tripping over his overalls.
Yeah, exactly.
Hot diggity damn.
Hot diggity damn! $1,600. So good.
So you got like George C. Scott, you got Slim Pickens. I mean, it's like this is. I mean, like if you're a Kubrick fan and you've seen all of his movies, you might as well watch this one too.
Yeah, you should. Even if you haven't, you should watch it because it's funny.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's on YouTube because we can't afford that DVD.
Yeah, it's hundreds of dollars now at this point on bootleg market. Yeah.
But it's on YouTube. So
so watch on YouTube.
And as I mentioned before, we started watching it on YouTube.
It must be public domain. They must pick up public domain stuff and maybe restore them. I bet they don't even fucking restore them.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying before we actually watched this on YouTube, something was mentioned about the video quality, and I can confirm that even on the VHS tape that was recorded off a TV, the video quality is about the same.
Yeah,
so
that was pretty much a VHS upload. Yeah.
I don't.
But it's not bad.
It's
not a bad.
There is one
transfer.
One quick thing about the transfer that I loved. Okay, so nowadays we live in the world of widescreen.
Yeah,
everything comes as it was filmed. If this was restored, it would be restored in widescreen. But when they steal Bonnie Lee's car, I'm so glad this wasn't in widescreen because you see her get out and you see Curly react in watching her leave. And then it has to pan to show that George C. Scott has scooted over into the driver's seat and he's taken off.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Is fantastic.
It's perfect.
It's a comedy reveal that probably would not have been the same if we had seen it in the widescreen presentation. It would have lost.
I don't know because I do remember even watching on the VHS. That's all you saw.
Right.
I don't even think in a widescreen that it would show like.
I don't know.
George C. jumping over into the other seat.
I don't know. I mean, like, or at least you would have seen. Maybe you.
I hope not, because the way that it's revealed.
Oh my God, is fantastic.
Great.
Yeah,
because Curly's just like, whoa, wait a minute, like just start.
And you are finding out with Curly that he stole a car. My last note about this, and I said that it's like we were trying to figure out like, is this contemporary to the late '60s? And I think the whole thing about Curly running away from the MPs, I'm sure that's part of the book. But my feeling is that it was kind of a comment on draft dodging, maybe.
Probably.
And it's, and the thought that he skipped out on the Army and just an MP.
He only had 5 more months, though.
Yeah.
Only 5 more months.
5 weeks.
5 weeks. It was only 5 more weeks. Ugh, Curly.
Yeah. So, but there's a point where they're like walking around, going to their next destination, and a Jeep drives by with a couple of MPs. They're not looking for Curly. They don't know anything about Curly. Like where he escaped from, these guys are probably not looking for Curly.
Right.
But I think even
it's hard to know though, because that's the geography in this movie is very.
Don't worry about it.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
So really, just
it all works out.
Just the things that happen, you just have to let happen and not really think about the why.
I still don't think that those MPs knew anything about who these
probably
two guys were.
not.
They were just 2 guys walking down the street.
But they were an excuse for some comedy.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think even Mordecai says something to that effect, that it's everybody's looking for somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean they may not even be looking for they're not looking for him.
Yeah.
Is what they're looking for somebody but not you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also, one thing to just like on the time frame of when this was like supposed to be set in. I don't know if you caught, but when they're in the general store and he calls, I forgot her name already.
Oh my gosh, there's something you don't know about this?
No. No, I was trying to think of Bonnie Lee. He calls Bonnie Lee and she says KR 599. So it was still at a time before like full phone
Oh,
numbers.
and especially
Right.
like probably
Right.
in that area of the country,
Yeah.
it probably was a long time before they went to, the actual.
Yeah, shit. There's still rural places in the United States that don't have fucking internet.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still rural places that don't have road names.
True.
Yeah, they're rural routes or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
State route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 100 East.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, yeah. I mean,
think we did it.
Yeah.
Anything else anybody wants to add? I don't have any. I mean,
No.
see this movie.
I'm
It's
just glad-
free.
it's great.
Glad you
It's
guys
on
enjoyed
YouTube.
it.
Watch it for free. It's 100 minutes of your life that you will thoroughly enjoy.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 4 extra minutes that you'd probably like because it's actually 104 minutes.
Well, whatever.
But it's extra enjoyment.
Sure.
The more the better. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I wish this movie was 120 minutes.
Yeah.
I would have gone for that.
A flat 2 hours.
Yeah, flat 2 hours.
Yeah.
Give me 16 more minutes of Mordecai's like rules of life,
Well, for like the 90th anniversary Blu-ray or whatever we have at that time, and they'll probably put like massive deleted scenes.
Yeah,
and
we're
then you'll
probably
get your
all
2
gonna
hours.
be dead because I'm going to be like 80 something. If we're not dead, I'm going to wish we're dead because
Yeah.
we're crapping ourselves. We're probably just not in great shape.
I just hope on this extra specials that they just have like a casting thing where it's just George C. Scott laughing. That would just be
Oh God, I made a comment that he's got kind of a Gene Hackman laugh, and he does.
a little bit.
Like Gene Hackman, by all accounts, was kind of a nasty dude. Like nobody really liked working with him. But man, the Gene Hackman laugh, the kind of cackle, the sort of like, I don't know, it's hard to describe. But the Gene Hackman laugh, and it's just delightful. And that's what George C. Scott's laugh in this reminds me of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm pleased.
yeah.
I am pleased.
random fact. Gene
I would-
Hackman was also in the Marines, so
yeah.
that probably didn't help.
I would pair this movie with The Sting.
Sure.
Make a great double feature. I would, and if you're looking for something out of the box as a triple feature, and I'm going to bring this to these dudes at some point, A Big Hand for the Little Lady. Look that one up. Very, very cool flick.
If you have not seen Confidence, watch Confidence.
Yeah, that's a good one. That was I just remembered the director of Confidence was the director of Glengarry Glen Ross,
Yep.
which was a stage play written by David Mamet,
Yep.
who is the master of the Con movie. So, boom.
There you go. And with that,
Blowing minds.
we have come full circle.
Anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So next week, you're gonna want to
What do we got
tune
next
back
week?
in.
What do we got?
Because we're going back to the Force Pool, and we're gonna watch Force 5.
Shit, we are, aren't we? Force
Yep.
5 is next week.
Force 5 is next week.
Hell yeah.
Not Fox Force 5, the
Well,
pilot that
it could potentially
Neil
have.
Wallace didn't get to.
It could potentially be that Tarantino saw Force 5 and got the idea for the Fox Force 5 from the movie Force 5.
Oh, okay.
That is, I think, probably a pretty sound theory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or at least borrow the name. I mean,
Borrow the name.
it's awesome.
It's awesome. And it's just very similar. It's not a TV show. It's a movie, but it's about 5 different dudes, one lady with all different skills, right? Who have to band together.
That sounds pretty similar.
It sounds pretty fucking similar, yeah.
Do they tell a joke every?
No.
No, there's hardly any
still love that
one-liners.
joke.
What did the Papa Tomato say to the baby tomato? Ketchup.
All right.
Every time she delivers that, I crack. That, running into dumpsters, falling off porches. These are the things.
These
These
are
are
the
the
things that make Ken happy.
And make
And
really
cons.
make
Yes.
really most movies tick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. So, thank you, Ken, for bringing these last couple of episodes to us and last couple of movies.
Oh, it's great.
Um,
Been looking forward to it, and I'm glad you guys have enjoyed it.
yeah, absolutely, and we look forward to doing it again sometime.
Yes, indeed.
Where can people find us, Jason?
Oh my God, Jeff. They can find us so many places. We are on filmseizure.com. That's
Yes.
our home base.
Home base.
Home base is where all the good stuffs are. That's where you can get new episodes of Film Seizure. That's where you can watch Jeff's episodes of Monster Mondays.
Yep. Well, listen, not watch, but listen.
Well, yes, listen.
You can watch the
you can watch the screen, do nothing.
Right.
If
that's your thing.
We also have episodes of both on YouTube.
Yep.
We put them up there. We are in a whole bunch of other places too.
Yeah, now we're on places like iTunes, like Google Play, like TuneIn, and Spotify.
Yes.
So you can find us there by just searching for Film Seizure.
So
come right up.
So yeah, listen where you like, comment where you can. Send us an email at filmseizure@gmail.com. We will reply. You can also get us on the social media outlets like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook is probably where we are the most active, so say hey.
Yeah, absolutely. So until next week when we return to the Force.
Oh, I can't wait. It's a Force episode.
It's a Force episode, which means nothing but greatness.
It's like a Simpsons Halloween episode.
I know, right?
I feel like the Force episodes, those are
Treehouse of Terror.
Yes, they are a treehouse of forces.
Yeah. I am Geoff Arbuckle.
I am Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.
Always comes a time for hasty migration. Study the birds, lad. They know when to fly.